What's up, everybody? James Duggan here with Kyle O'Connor.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Playing World of Warcraft.
Oh, God, we're back.
It is not a question of if, but a question of when you will return to the World of Warcraft. And the time is now for those of you who are looking for fun, I guess is the word I would call it.
And James Duggan, like a jerk, has been talking to me about it nonstop.
So there's so many features, the best of which, in my opinion, are kind of the revisiting of what makes each class unique in terms of the core fantasy. They've reworked every single class. They've reworked talents. You now have honor talents. There are an enormity of changes.
That's been a long time coming. The
yes.
PvP only talents.
Yeah. But let's start off on a kind of a flashy note. The Transmog Appearance Tab, it's here, and basically you don't need to have gear in a bank. You just pick up a thing. So if I were to pick this helm up in Legion, I would unlock the appearance across all my characters, or at least the characters that could wear it from there on out. Let's get into it. Let's transmog some stuff. I'm going to transmog these swords. We'll do one shifting fellblade. And we'll do one replica Lion's Fang from the movie that was critically hailed as the greatest movie ever created by mankind.
I actually think I saw that edict from the president. Said it is the greatest movie ever made.
So now I have my two swords.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
A lot better than the swords you have on your warriors.
Oh, you bastard. Let's talk about the class abilities. A really big thing that I noticed immediately, there are all new sounds and there are all new visuals for every spec. And what's very impressive here, to me, is just the fidelity of running up to something as a melee character. You know, melee characters, this game's been out since 2004, so you run up to a character, you hit him a couple times.
12 years.
Yeah, it didn't feel very weighty.
No.
But now it feels incredibly, incredibly weighty, especially on something like a Fury Warrior.
Yeah, no, the changes are apparent. Like, if you've been playing WoW for a while and you jump on and you see this, like, I remember you were playing at one of the stations and I walked by and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then you explained and you got me re-addicted.
Sure, and it's not just specific to melee characters either. Casters also got a nice upgrade. The mage looks fantastic. You'll notice some graphics are the same, but for a large part, the visuals have been revamped for just a lot of the moment-to-moment action. And let's talk about that moment-to-moment action in a more mechanical way. So we have the specialization. Now, previously you could have dual talents, you could choose two of these, but now they've said, screw that. It's kind of, they've taken a lot of cues from Diablo 3, both in terms of the progression and in terms of the way that you go about defining your class fantasy. So here I have Frost, I have Blood, I have Unholy. Let's say I wanted to go Unholy. I'm just going to go ahead and activate that spec. There's no dual talent specialization needed. You just go to a rested area, and that allows you to change your specialization as well as your talents. And the talents have all been revisited, and while this is a very divisive topic, the Prune, as it's called, I think that it is absolutely for the better, with the exception of a couple of classes.
That weapon.
This weapon is enormous.
I was looking at the Ret Pally spec, and I actually had a hard time deciding between what I wanted to pick, and that was a good feeling. You know what I mean? It felt like, for me, it felt like my decisions were important. Beforehand, it was always like, you would never take, a certain spell because it just wasn't optimal. But these ones, it was like, wow, I can totally tailor this to my specific playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very evident in terms of the gameplay, aside from just visually. So, like, I just switched to Unholy. This is my main spec. And the whole idea with this specialization is you are the epitome of disgusting. And the way that plays out in gameplay here, by the way, there's a revamped UI. This is not a mod. You can just straight up see all of your health as well as resources down here. You can see the enemy up here, and you can see the debuffs they have. And this is a thing called Festering Wounds. So the whole idea with Unholy is you create these lesions, these boils on the target, and then you pop them. And they just release this pus that then infects all the other targets.
This is great. This is a good time.
I know. It's really core to the fantasy of the character. Kind of previously there was this stigma with World of Warcraft that the classes kind of got normalized to the point where every class could do anything. Yeah. Whether you were playing, a priest or a druid or whatever. But they've really gone back and revisited what it means to be this spec and gotten rid of a lot of the excess noise that allowed you to do everything. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean if you enjoyed hybrid classes that you're not going to have those. One of my favorite classes right now is the Boomkin, which you actually...
You're a monster.
I know. Which you actually, you get to either choose if you want to be feral, if you want to be a tank, or if you want to be a healer on top of being the spellcaster. So basically, druids, they're all about shape-shifting. They're all about kind of being a little bit of everything, and you get to specifically choose kind of a second specialization on top of that. So it's a really exciting time to be playing right now for that reason.
You get basically half of the spells you would from the class you specialize in.
Sure, right? And that can translate into arenas. And let's talk about PvP for a second, because PvP actually got a pretty major overhaul, not just in terms of the new progression system, but also in terms of the core gameplay. If you queue up for a battleground or if you queue up for an arena, everybody's stats are normalized to a point where the least geared person and the most geared person will be about 10% apart stat-wise. So I've jumped in on characters that I've just freshly hit 100 with and gone toe-to-toe with people who've been playing this entire expansion. Which
That's good.
It's, I thought it would be really divisive. It's not. Everybody I've talked to absolutely loves it. It just levels the playing field. It makes PvP a very skill-oriented place, and any gear that you get in PvE, more excitingly, like I get this awesome sword, say, in this dungeon, I can now take it straight into that battleground and, start wrecking people with it.
That was a lot of the fun in vanilla, because I remember when I was a trash tier rep pally back in vanilla, auto attack king, I would only do raids to get a new two-hander, a weapon that I could use. So it's nice that you'll have that same sort of feel. You'll be able to go do
and initially,
raids
I think it was kind of brought into the game. You would do these raids to get the gear to go into PvP, because the PvP gear in vanilla was so difficult to unlock, and that kind of unintentionally created this cohesion that then became this very separated thing, PvP and PvE. Now I feel with Legion, hopefully, it's going to be a unified experience and feel more like a world. And let's talk about some of the other things they've done to make it feel more like a world. They've quadrupled or hextupled the view distance. It's just...
Those aren't words.
Yeah, I know, but look at this.
That's absurd.
It's incredible. I can see all the way to Stranglethorn in the back there, and I'm in Stormwind. And this, I can see Westfall over there. You can actually see the ground in Westfall. And this isn't even the most drastic area. Oh my God, I can see... Do you know where that is? That's in the Twilight Highlands.
Oh my God.
So let's open up the map here and just see where I'm looking. I'm looking over here. I'm looking... Oh, no, wait.
No, you're further. It's up. It's up.
Oh my God!
Yeah. You're looking at.
I'm looking at this spire, which is right here. This is the Twilight Citadel, and so from Stormwind, I can see that in the distance.
Wow, that's amazing.
They just graphically, and this
James, stop! I don't want to play anymore.
This all pairs very well with this kind of half-supported feature called the Action Cam, which I have yet to mess around with, but it does a very good job of keeping your targets in focus, and it feels like I'm playing World of Warcraft for the first time again.
Can you go through Stormwind right up the bridge, please?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh God, this one of my favorite feelings of almost every game is the first moment I walked into Stormwind and heard that music and saw those statues.
Sure. There's also new lighting. It's a little bit more difficult to pick up in the overworld where there's all these light sources bouncing at you, but when you're in a dungeon playing as a mage and you have a wand out, it's very evident that there's this lighting that emanates from certain sources, and they're just kind of refining it visually. Granted, it's still a game that was made in 2004, so the new models were made this year, but there are some parts of this game that still look old, and it is an aging game, but my God, have they done a great job keeping it engaging visually in terms of the fidelity, in terms of the readability with the abilities, stuff like that. All right, the final thing we'll talk about is the honor talents, which aren't actually in the game yet. It's kind of this weird lull while we're waiting for the Legion kind of pre-content to hit. There are all these changes and people are just doing Battlegrounds. But anyway, so a lot of the stuff that either was pruned or just totally new things are now behind these honor talents. So the way the honor system is going to work, and I think this is really smart, is... It's just like this talent system. It's a choose one of three that you can change anytime you're in a resting area, which really kind of reduces the barrier for entry for theory crafting and trying new things, which is super exciting. But you unlock it as you increase your honor level. And so as I increase my honor level, I'm going through and unlocking all these things, and eventually there's going to be an optimal path for me to take based upon what I think is the best spec. But what's really cool is by the time you get to honor rank 50, that's the max. Now at that point you make a Call of Duty Modern Warfare decision whether you're going to prestige or whether you're just going to keep your vertical increased stats, basically. Yeah. And so that makes a really interesting ecosystem where somebody who's been PvPing for 4 months isn't necessarily more statistically powerful than someone who's jumping in for the first time, because they may be on their 5th prestige and they may only be at honor level 2, as where if you've played a couple games, maybe you're like 4 and you've unlocked some additional stuff. So that has me really excited, and this, of course, is all in preparation for the Legion expansion. The Legion expansion is dropping on August 30th, is going to include Mythic Plus dungeons, obviously the Shattered... I'm not actually sure what the new island is called.
Dropping the ball super hard now.
The comments will tell us.
Yeah.
The new Demon Hunter class, which is actually going to unlock a couple weeks before Legion. And I have to say, I feel like I say this every expansion, which maybe reduces my credibility, but this time I swear it's true.
every one of them, people are like, this is the one that brings it back. This is the one that makes it great again. And I've always just been really skeptical, but this is the one that brings it back.
There's all these core gameplay changes, and that, to me, is what's exciting. It's not the idea
Yeah.
of killing Illidan again. I don't really care at that point. It's more of the idea of these mechanics that they've refined in terms of what you're doing and how you're interacting with the world, and more importantly, how you're interacting with other people. The emphasis has been taken away from garrisons and more towards interacting with other people in a capacity that makes this a massively multiplayer game. So anyway, I'm super excited for more Legion content. You're already in the right place here at IGN.